In this video, I'm going to explain Palantir to beginners and to anyone else that's looking to understand a little bit more about this quite confusing company. So we're going to touch on the background of Palantir, we're going to look at exactly what they do and what they have to offer, and we're going to look at some use cases to help you understand Palantir in more of a real life context. So let's start off with the very basics. Palantir was founded in 2003 by Peter Thiel and Alex Karp, and Alex Karp is now the CEO of Palantir. And it was interestingly named Palantir, which is a bit of a weird word, after the Seeing Stone in Lord of the Rings. So they started off primarily just working with government organisations, so you probably would never have really heard of them. And they continued this for quite a number of years until around 2009 when they got their first private enterprise client. So they've got their government side of the business with their government organisation clientele, and then they've got their commercial side of the business. And this is the area where they've got some of their big enterprise clients that you've probably heard of. So Palantir for quite a while was a private company. They actually went public through their IPO in 2020, and that's when they become public and they were listed on the New York Stock Exchange. And at this point, they started gaining real traction because obviously us retail investors could then begin investing into this company. So who are they and what do they do? In simple terms, they are a data AI company. For a while, they have been tagged as being just a consultancy firm. However, I think we're past this and we all know that that is definitely not the case. And they have different products, different services that they can offer different customers depending on their individual needs. So their offerings are very customizable, which is of course very attractive to their clients. So their main products include Gotham, Apollo, Foundry, and now they have a more recent product called AIP, which stands for Artificial Intelligence Platform. So in their own words, they say, we make products for human-driven analysis of real-world data. They allow companies and organizations to utilize their data more efficiently and more effectively, which then saves that company time, and depending on what sort of business or organization it is, it can literally change the business's top line, bottom line, and in some cases, depending on the sector that they're working with, it can quite literally help save lives. If you think about a company right now, and assuming it's a fairly large company, you'll know that that company has many different departments. It has a HR department, it has a finance department, maybe manufacturing, logistics, legal, and all these different departments will have vast amounts of data. And all these pieces of data and data sets will be stored across many different types of data sources. You'll have it from emails, internal chat systems, spreadsheets, you name it, there will be so many types of data sources. And Palantir, on a really basic level, takes all of this different data from all the different sources and basically brings it into one centralized source of truth. And then more importantly, they enable the humans in the company to understand the data that they have better. It's all well and good having loads and loads of data and being able to even store and maybe manage that data, update that data, whatever. But it's a whole different ballgame to actually be able to understand the data that your company has, to understand different trends, to understand what's happening in your logistics department, your financial department, to take all of that data and make it understandable for the average user. We now live in a world where data is the language. Data is growing exponentially and it's not going to slow down anytime soon. This means companies not only need to be able to manage and store that data, but they need to be able to understand and utilize it. Otherwise, they're going to be at a competitive disadvantage. And I think this is really where Palantir separate themselves from potential competitors out there. Other companies do allow businesses to store and manage their data, which is great. But Palantir, with their capabilities in AI, really take it to that next level. They take it to that level where they are able to help businesses understand how to utilize that data. And we're going to speak about a few examples and this will really start to make sense. So let's just think about their Gotham product first. And I'm going to keep this very simple because I don't want to confuse beginners. It's more important to understand Palantir at a very, very basic fundamental level and then build on that because it is a confusing company. So they bring all the data from all the different sources and different areas of a business into one centralized source of truth. And then they present this data to the users to allow it to be understandable. And then from that information that you're getting, you are then able to make decisions based on that data. And then you can actually, from Gotham, deploy the actions that you've decided to make. Now, Gotham is utilized a lot by the government side of the business and the defense sectors that Palantir work with. Quite literally, Gotham is on the battlefields. So let's just say you're monitoring a particular area and it's of interest because it's a trade area. And the AI models start to highlight to you that this area is seeing some unusual activity. You're seeing a buildup of different vehicles that you wouldn't normally expect to see. Gotham would start bringing in the data from all different sources and project potential pathways that these vehicles may take. And you notice that it's flagging up that one potential pathway of these vehicles heads towards an army base, and that could be a potential threat. The analyst can then select a particular area that they want to monitor to make sure that this pathway is not taken, and they can quite literally then deploy an aeroplane, people, whatever, to monitor that area. And you deploy that straight from a click of a button. Let's say that monitoring starts happening and the data comes back that these vehicles are actually heading towards that base. A commander can then be briefed on the situation, and Gotham can supply the commander with a few different human-driven and AI-driven options. These options will be based on what's been successful in past training and real-life exercises. And it will be able to tell the commander the risk of a particular option, the time taken to do that particular option, and the probability of success. And with all this information, the commander can then take the best decision based on the data it has of a real world situation. Foundry, one of their other platforms, is more for enterprise clients. Again, bringing in lots of information and data into one place and making that data understandable for both technical resources and your average layperson. For example, the NHS, the National Healthcare System here in the UK. Now, the NHS has been working with Palantir for quite a number of years on different contracts that they've had in place. But Foundry in particular, in one of these contracts, has actually helped reduce the waiting time for cancer patients to get treatment. And also it's helped increase the utilization of theatres. Interestingly, the Palantir community are currently apprehensive and anticipating a big NHS Palantir contract that was meant to be announced back at the end of September, but it's now been delayed and we should be hearing about it any day soon. This contract is over the course of 5 years and it's worth £480 million. So it's a pretty big deal. One thing that the British public have sort of highlighted as a cause for concern with this NHS Palantir contract upcoming is the idea that Palantir are going to be spying and stealing data. Now, this is not the case at all. Any company that Palantir work with own their own data. Palantir simply supply the tools for that company to be able to use their own data better. And Palantir takes security very seriously. You can decide which pieces of data in your company the large language models and Palantir software actually have access to. Then you have AIP. This isn't a standalone product like the others exactly, but instead it works directly in Gotham or in Foundry, and it provides the tools to make large language models more useful. In simple terms, you could think of large language models as being ChatGPT, which I'm sure you're familiar with. This is the part of Palantir where you can ask the models useful questions. What I will say is ChatGPT and other large language models like that are fun and they can be quite useful, but Palantir really step it up, and their CEO Alex Karp have said that ChatGPT can produce you a nice essay or a nice poem, but what AIP does is make real world changes. And then lastly, their Apollo offering. Apollo offers continuous software deployment and updates across all platforms and environments, no matter the type of cloud that the end user's data operates on. Now, I'm going to leave it there because I don't want this video to become too long and too confusing. If you want a part 2 of this, or you want me to explain anything else about Palantir, let me know. Like this video if you learned something new, comment if you want to add anything, and subscribe if you want more in the future. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again in another video.